What if a single config flip can strand thousands at airports and grind banks to a halt? Tonight, I unpack Microsoft's explanation with Maya's people-first warnings and Leo's forensic skepticism, because this outage could cost your commute, paycheck, and privacy. Tonight, the official story says an inadvertent change inside Microsoft's Edge network broke things. The public story says airports stalled, apps froze, and patience ran out. Between those two, there is a lot to unpack. Here is what we can verify. Midday Wednesday, Azure and Microsoft web pages began failing worldwide. The Azure portal degraded, outage trackers lit up, and ripple effects hit airlines, retailers, banks, and even some government sites.
And those ripples are people. Airport check-ins slowed, mobile boarding passes stalled, lines grew, consumer advocates urged fee waivers and compensation. This is not a blip when your morning flight or paycheck depends on it.
Sure, but let's not do the sky is falling routine. Outages happen. The question is, did businesses build for failure? If your app cannot handle one provider hiccup, that is an architecture problem, not just a headline.
Microsoft's account focused on Azure Front Door, their global content delivery layer. They said an inadvertent configuration change triggered the incident. Engineers rolled back to a last known good state and routed traffic via healthy nodes. They promised safeguards, extra validation, and rollback controls, and a post-incident review within 14 days. By late evening, availability climbed to roughly 98%, with a long tail of residual issues for a small subset of users.
But out in the wild, users were stuck. A Brazilian morning tech host described instability across Microsoft 365, Outlook, Teams, plus Xbox. Down detectors showed hundreds of reports in bursts. People just needed to work and could not.
On a live tech panel, folks joked they could not even get into Loop or Authenticator. That is a real pain. When the login relies on the cloud that is also down, you are locked out of the fix. Not a great look, but also a lesson in dependency.
Dependency that extends to public services. Heathrow felt it. New Zealand police and parliament pages hiccuped. A Scottish parliament vote was delayed. We have concentrated essential services in a handful of hands. That is a systemic risk.
Systemic risk, sure, but let's keep precision. One panel quipped, "It is always DNS," and the other line was human error. Both can be true. Microsoft named a config change. The fix is better guardrails and, please, tested failover strategies.
There were contradictions. Some reports emphasized DNS failures. Microsoft emphasized an Azure Front Door configuration change. Outage trackers even showed a blip for AWS, which Amazon denied. Start times and duration estimates varied by source. One airline edited a statement midstream, removing a line about working with tech partners, adding confusion. And adding irony, even some status pages and support posts were flaky during the event. Observers noted, even the outage page is down.
That irony matters. If the platform cannot reliably tell customers what is happening, trust erodes. Regulators should require clear communication standards and automatic remedies. People should not have to beg for fee waivers after a failure.
And organizations should not bet everything on one front door. Microsoft's own guidance suggested using Traffic Manager to redirect to origin servers. Eat your own dog food, and customers should do it too. Multipath, not wishful thinking.
Let's anchor impact. Airlines warned of payment and boarding pass issues. Starbucks and Costco apps stumbled. NatWest saw problems. UK transport hubs like Heathrow signaled disruption. Xbox Network and Minecraft had pronounced spikes in reports. Some Microsoft 365 users saw Outlook delays and Copilot timeouts. The disruption lasted many hours. One summary said over 8 hours, before mitigation. Recovery was gradual through evening. Most sites returned after rollbacks.
The economic toll adds up. One firm estimated gaming losses around $1.2 million per hour as an illustration. Even if rough, multiply that across finance, retail, and public services. The bill lands on all of us eventually.
I hear you, but cost also comes from over-engineering. Multi-cloud is not a magic spell. It is complex and pricey. Sensible redundancy, regional diversity, cache at the edge, offline modes, gets you most of the way without breaking the bank.
Offline modes are exactly what was missing. When Authenticator loops because the backend is down, your identity is bricked. Mandate backup codes, local tokens, even temporary grace periods. Design with the least privileged fallback in mind.
And users have a role. Print recovery codes, keep a hardware key. If your life runs through one app on one phone, that is a self-inflicted single point of failure. Personal responsibility is part of reliability too.
Context matters. This hit hours before Microsoft's earnings, and about a week after a large AWS outage. Meanwhile, Microsoft announced job cuts and plans to double its data center network. Concentration is growing as stakes get higher.
Which is why policy has to catch up. Require resilience testing, transparent SLAs that trigger automatic credits, and diversified procurement for public agencies. No single vendor should be able to stall a parliament vote for lack of redundancy.
Policy, fine, but incentives work faster. Tie executive comp to uptime and incident transparency. If status pages go dark, penalties kick in. You will see better guardrails installed overnight. No legislation required.
Only if those penalties are meaningful. And we need independent audits. As we saw, narratives diverged. DNS versus configuration error. Publish precise root causes with artifacts so customers can adjust their risk models, not guess.
On that tech panel, they read an Azure note. Issue started around a morning UTC time, caused by Azure Front Door, and rollbacks underway. Then the joke, do your earnings call on Google Meet if Teams is down. Humor hides real anxiety.
Also hides harm. Missed medical messages, delayed payments, stranded travelers. When status pages vanish, people panic. The industry needs crisis comms that survive the outage, statically hosted mirrors, SMS alerts, radio if needed.
Agreed. Out-of-band comms are table stakes. Also, degrade gracefully. If your mobile order fails, let the App Store an IOU barcode offline. If boarding systems choke, have a printable fallback. Paper still works at 0 battery life.
Quick recap as we pivot. Facts. Azure outages hit many sectors for many hours. Cause. Microsoft cites an inadvertent configuration change in Azure Front Door. Conflicts. DNS framing and coverage, timing discrepancies, status pages flickering. Response. Rollbacks to last good state, traffic shifted to healthy nodes, safeguards added, review due within 14 days. Impact. Airports, retailers, banks, some government sites, user reports climbed into the thousands at peaks.
And as I argued earlier, this is structural. After the AWS event last week, we got another reminder. Hyperscaler concentration is fragility. Regulators should foster competition, local failover options, and interoperability that is not punitive.
Competition is great, but most failures are boring. Human error. Microsoft said it. Preventable config drift, insufficient validation, add canary rollouts, hard circuit breakers, and a rollback button big enough to see in a hurricane.
Plus accountability. If gaming losses might be over $1 million per hour, what is the value of a postponed vote or a missed ambulance dispatch? We need social cost in the calculus, not just SLA credits on a spreadsheet.
And user education. That panel's authenticator loop is the perfect PSA. Add a second factor not tied to the same cloud. Keep recovery codes offline. It is not paranoia, it is plumbing. Backups are boring until they are heroic.
One more thread. The irony that some outage status updates were hard to reach underscores an operational blind spot. If your incident channel uses the same failing edge path, you lose the narrative, and users lose guidance when they need it most.
So set aside a hardened independent comms path, mirror the status page on a separate provider, pre-draft customer rights language, and publish postmortems in plain language so the public understands what changed before the next storm.
Also, maybe do not announce data center expansion and layoffs in the same breath as an outage week. Optics matter. Ship reliability first, then brag about doubling capacity. Otherwise, the joke writes itself and trust takes the hit.
Trust is earned by designing for the worst day, not the sunny demo. Airports, banks, and parliaments deserve infrastructure that treats a single configuration slip as a nuisance, not a national inconvenience.
And customers deserve apps that fail soft. Cache what you can, queue what you must, and reconcile later. Meanwhile, keep an analog plan B. I like the cloud, but I like boarding a plane on time even more.
We will watch for Microsoft's post-incident review within 2 weeks. We want clarity on root cause, the guardrails added, and how they will keep status comms resilient. If you were affected, traveler, cashier, or admin, send us your story. Next, we will compare this playbook with last week's AWS outage and ask whether regulators or market forces are moving faster. Until then, back up your codes, test your failovers, and keep your plan B within reach.